How is it going, guys? Malagant here. We are going to be looking at the item filter, and this video is gonna try to get you up to speed when it comes to like an item filter, what you would like to do. I'll also actually like consider in the upcoming days making an item filter for you and actually share it on my YouTube as well, but that's going to be like in another video, and it will explain that item filter specifically. So if you would like to, you can check out my channel. It's maybe up already while you're watching this, but in this video we will, as I said, we'll be checking out how to make an item filter for yourself, and I'll try to explain the logic behind it, or like, you know, the steps behind it, so you will be able to take your own steps according to the character that you're playing, because it's impossible for me to know what exactly you want for your character, therefore what exactly you would like to show on your filter either. So that being said though, before before jumping into the item filter, you should kind of have some sort of like an understanding of crafting in this game, because like you gotta understand how the item affixes are working. Every single item right now is coming with like 2 prefix and 2 suffix. You can understand this from like these little ticks on the affixes. On the left side is prefix, on the right side is suffix basically. So critical avoidance and health on this one is suffix, and every item is gonna have a slot for 2 of these. That said, when an item drops, so like when you buy an item in this game, unless they are unique, you'll be able to craft on it, because it won't be fractured or it won't be broken. Let's try to find an item on me that is not necessarily fractured. So for instance, this ring, you know, I found this ring on the floor and then I ended up crafting on it, and for the most part, like 99%, you'll want to craft on the items that you find or you end up buying from the vendor or something, okay? Unless it's like a complete item that you're trading or something, but the trading right now as I'm making the video is not out either. It's definitely possible later on that you'll be able to like trade complete items. So that said, like for the crafting, an item has some instability from the get-go. Sometimes it's 0 actually, that's the best, and as it goes higher it is harder to craft on it, because your chances are going to be falling drastically. If you look at the bottom over here, we have 25% minor chance, 25% damaging, and 26% destructive. And I can play with that by basically changing my glyphs. So the destructing is going away. So I'm guessing the destructing fracture is basically destroying the items, while damaging one is perhaps damaging the tiers of the item. So instead of tier 5 health, perhaps it's becoming tier 4 and also fracturing it, obviously. The minor fracture is basically saying like, this is the finalized version of this item, you cannot craft on it anymore, and you will have to either use the item like that, or, you know, go ahead and perhaps like break the item or sell the item at that point, because like the minor fracture is like basically saying you cannot necessarily craft on it anymore, okay? So why did I explain all this? It is because the items that you would like to end up using, or the items that you would like to end up seeing on the floor, they need to have at the very least one good stat on them, the way that I look at it, okay? The value kind of changes, kind of depends on like how greedy you are. So if you would like to see very few items, let's say, with a character like mine, you can set it up so that like you only see the tier 5 item drops, right? So if an item like a ring that drops with like, you know, tier 5 health, or perhaps tier 5 resistance, show it to me. This would be a good step to start your item filter. Otherwise, hide everything kind of thing. You know what I mean? In that regard, I'm actually not going to be seeing that many items. So that's also why I have explained the crafting a little bit. I'm going to be making a crafting video, quite well detailed later on also. But it's important to understand in this video that like within the crafting itself, you know, you can go higher in the tiers, and because of the, you know, instability, the unstable thingy, you know, this number over here, you kind of want to find items that are, you know, higher tiers and then craft on them, so that you don't necessarily mess around with this number so much, and then your chances of getting a very good item is a lot higher. So if you look at a ring that is like with only tier 3 health on it and try to like, you know, craft the rest, and then also maybe even upgrade the tier 3 health, it's going to be very hard for you, because you will gain a lot of instability, you will need a lot of RNG. That makes a lot of sense, hopefully. So from there, we are going to be jumping into the loot filter, and we will go like brick by brick, you know. So let's talk about like leveling loot filter, and then perhaps we'll put another brick on top, and then say that like when we come to the late game, what we can do on top of our filter, and then afterwards what we can do to make it incredibly rare. Okay, so by clicking this plus over here, you can end up creating a new loot filter. You can say, let's say leveling perhaps, and then let's change the icon, maybe change the color of it, make it good. Okay, so from here we will be adding rules. One thing that I can tell you guys is that, like, you know, the purpose of a loot filter is probably seeing less stuff on the floor, right? And thanks to this, basically, you're gonna save a lot of time. So you won't be collecting trash. They're very, you know, valueless. It's not even, you know, valuable to sell them to the NPC. So not seeing them, you know, just like, you know, canceling those trash loot and hiding them is the most important part, in my opinion. So you can go ahead and pretty much hide literally everything in the game if you would like to. How to do this is like you select the visibility hide, and then afterwards, perhaps the item type, you can literally just like hide everything. That is one thing that you can do. I would, however, not suggest hiding the idols. Up to this point, I ended up actually like collecting almost every single idol in the game. The reason is because they don't necessarily have any level requirements. So any character out there, any level, is capable of using any idol out there, no matter you know, when it dropped or what sort of like affixes it dropped with. The only thing is that, like, you know, level 1 character doesn't have idle slots. So as soon as you open your idle slots, you'll be able to, you know, equip the idols that's in your bank. So personally, I don't hide the idols, but you can definitely hide the idols and then edit further to show the specific idols to your liking as well. But you can go ahead and like hide literally everything else, maybe even the accessories, and then confirm this, and then just this edition is going to be pretty much like hiding literally everything that's dropping on the floor. So as you can see, we don't even see my gloves. But from this moment, what do we need to do? From this moment, we need to understand something, that there's some sort of like a filtering going on over here as well. So a new rule that I'm going to be adding over here, this rule, since it's on top, it is very important to understand this, is going to be overruling this guy. So the, you know, the higher the rule is in this hierarchy or whatever, or in this list, you know, it's going to be overruling the ones that are below it. So if I put something to show over here, even though I have hidden 23 types over here, it's going to show that specific thing. That's the entire point of the filter as well. So what we want to do for our leveling is that, as I've explained from the item crafting as well, we want to see the good items on the floor. So what could be a good item? Let's say, let's recolor, and let's put perhaps like some sort of like a yellow. So we're gonna see yellow items, and let's make them just item type armor. Okay, so from now on, every single armor piece is going to be shown to us on the floor as like this color. If I update this like this, we will actually start seeing every single armor piece on the floor, as you can see, because even though I have hidden it in this rule, this one is above it. But this is not enough. This is obviously going to be trashing the entire screen. It's going to show literally everything. So we need to like edit this a little bit further. In fact, we want to see the good items, not necessarily every single armor out there. So we want to select an affix, and from that moment you will need to decide what sort of affixes you would like to see on your character. Now this is also branching out from like simplified filter into maybe a little bit more advanced. I'm going to open some brackets over here and say that, like, if you want to make a very simple filter, you can keep it like this, and you can just do affixes. Let's see your main stats, or perhaps all main stats. Perhaps let's see, this is an armor. Remember, we are not talking about like any accessory, we are not talking about relic, we are not talking about weapon or offhand, and we are not talking about amulets either. So the other slots, perhaps let's see the stuff that have good health. Perhaps let's see the stuff that has good resistances, and maybe you're into some, like, you know, mana stuff as well, or movement speed, And we can confirm this. But from this point, what you can do is that you can also make it so that like you're higher on the tier. So from the crafting that I explained, you want to see the higher tier drops so that you can control the instability a little bit on the items. So you don't want to see a tier 1 health drop on the floor. There's no point, you won't be able to make a good item out of that. But a tier 4 health perhaps will end up becoming a good health. Same can be said for the resistance. So we say more or equal tiers for those affixes. You know, this is the point where you decide how greedy you are. If you want to see a lot of items, I would say go for 3. Especially while leveling. I think 3 is a good number. Around like level 50 or something, I would take this to 4 because you will end up seeing too many items. Around like monolith level, which is like around 60, I believe, I would probably take this to 5, and that's going to be limiting a lot of items on the floor, so you won't be seeing that many. Normally I run with 5, while leveling is about like 3 or 4, I should say. It kind of depends like what sort of items I have. But just to explain what we exactly did to this over here, so what this is gonna show, this is gonna show every single armor on the floor that has an affix that is at least tier 5 from the selected list that we did. Remember the selected list, it's maybe a main stat. You could also filter this a little bit more if you're playing some sort of like an only dexterity guy. You can definitely move the others around. But I like to click all the attributes so that like I can kind of find excuse me, I can kind of find good items for other characters as well, perhaps. The same thing can be said for like health, resistance. You can search for like some block values as well. Not probably on the armor. So from this moment, we will need to craft something for the accessory, I would say, right? Let's add a new rule. We can recolor this, and the accessory could be like perhaps some sort of like an orange color, maybe this guy. We can add item type. This time it's going to be all about the accessories. We're going to do pretty much the same thing. We're going to add the affixes and the affixes that we like. So perhaps like we like the attributes. Now the accessories are coming with like very offensive stuff. So we got to think about like what sort of offenses that we like to see on our accessories. But let's get rid of the defenses extremely quick over here. So on the accessories, you can actually go for a lot of side stuff as well, such as block efficiency. There's a hybrid roll over here, if I'm not mistaken. This guy is capable of rolling on the accessories. But if you don't want to bother, you know, with which one can actually roll, just click the entire thing, and it's never gonna show it because like there's no item anyways like that. So you don't necessarily need to worry about this so much. You can do like endurance stuff, are not necessarily so bad either, but we have already gathered this from the resistance and the armor. What about like glancing blows? That is on the rogue side. You can click this as well. It's not too bad, definitely not. There's some like minion stuff. Remember, this is going to be quite offensive now. The accessories can actually like help you with the offense quite a bit. There's some like crit stuff that you can go for. So you can click this entire thing, in fact. Not the idols, probably not the class specific. They don't even roll on like the amulets and accessory. But you could go crit avoidance, definitely, and you can go like other critical stuff as well. Remember, selecting the stuff that are not even like capable of rolling on accessory doesn't necessarily matter. It's not gonna have something like that on the floor. You're not really filtering anything, so it's okay. Or you're not really showing some trash on the floor. So if in doubt, just click yes. That's gonna be okay. Don't worry about like if it's existing on that item base or not. So since it's never gonna drop, it will never show. There's nothing that you're doing wrong. So I think this is pretty much it though for the accessories. We can definitely accept this. If you would like to go a little bit further, you can add like more stuff. What did we leave behind? Let's see. Let's recolor the next guy with like purplish kind of color or like a pinkish color. Maybe this guy could be fine. Item level type. Let's have this weapons this time. And that being said, the only thing that's going to remain afterwards is like offhand and the idol. As I have explained before, I'm usually not touching the idols at all. You can definitely choose to, so I won't be showing this. But the offhand, definitely, you can do some sort of funky stuff over there as well. So for the weapons, you can in fact combine both of them because it's sort of following the same rules. What you can do is like go to effects over here one more time. Actually, like we forgot something, so I'm gonna save this like this. We will come back here and we will have to like select the tier, more recall. As I've explained before, like 3 while early on, probably around like level 50 or something. You want this to be 4-ish, and then afterwards, if you really want to be greedy, 5 is good, so that you don't see any trash items at all. Now we're gonna come back to the weapons. What can we have on a weapon? We can definitely have some like minion stuff. We can definitely have some... That's stuff that I like coming back to me. We can definitely have some like cast stuff. We can definitely have some like physical or like melee things, right? You can increase this quite a bit. You can have some like leech things. You can definitely have some like fizz, fire, cold. You can write, in fact, damage over here and select every single one of these things. What else can we have on a weapon that is rolling? We can in fact go through the list. Attributes, not really. Health, block, dodge. I don't really care. You can have some sort of like a stun values. Probably don't care so much either. We're gonna write some stuff over, like on the priority list on the top. We're gonna write some stuff that are going to be overruling even these, that are going to be kind of like safety measures. Don't worry about that. So don't worry about like missing something incredibly good in the game just because of like your selections over here and hiding everything else, because like we will have some sort of like a safety measure that is gonna be done later on, for sure. But I think this kind of looks okay for the most part for weapons. I would say so. Have we checked around like for critical strike stuff? I think we have, yeah. Alright, I'm gonna save it like this, and we're gonna do the same thing again. 3 for leveling, you know, 5-ish for like greed later on. So the weapons are going to be showing with like pink color. Let's try to figure out like how come my weapon is not showing, because it's like tier 3 and 2s. I see my weapon is not the greatest weapon out there. So the last thing that is remaining is the offhand, right? Let's quickly go through the offhand as well. Let's make this blue perhaps. Ideally, to be perfectly honest with you, you kind of want to make all these the same color so that like you can understand the value. I just wanted to change the colors so that like, you know, it was clear to the video how you can change the colors of stuff as well if you would like to. But if you think about it, all these items that are dropping are following the same type of rules, like just one FX at the very least of like tier 5, 3 or 4, whatever you decided. So in that case, you probably want them to be the same color. So you want like all of them to be like green-ish or something, and then afterwards you will put a rule where you're going to be having even rarer drops, or like even some specific stuff that you would like to see. We will talk about it very soon. It is probably better to like change the colors of those. So now that like it's pretty clear to the video that like how to change the colors, we can select the color of like, you know, this light green-ish color over here, or every single one of these things. Alright, let's add the last one, which is going to be the item type of offhand. If you would like to, you can definitely split this offhand between the catalyst, quiver, and shield, whichever you would like to see or don't see. For sure, because they definitely have some like different FXs that are capable of rolling on them, especially the shield. But at the same time, you can add them all over here as well. Like, it's completely up to you. Again, what I like to do is like defenses, health, resistance, armor. Pretty good. Let's talk about resistance and armor a little bit over here now that like I mentioned this. Normally, if I'm doing a little bit of like an advanced filter, guys. This is including the others as well that we have selected so far. I don't necessarily add every single resistance. I don't necessarily add the armor so much either, to be honest with you, for the most part. So for instance, what I mean by this is cold, fire, lightning, all resistance while channeling, endurance I usually don't add either, but this is a little bit more technical because like I like to take my percentage endurance from the implicit values. Endurance threshold definitely is incredibly valuable. Armor kind of up to you, I usually don't add it. So this is like the even more further filtered version for me, for the defenses, for the resistance and armor. But again, like you're not going to be seeing that many more items if you click them all. There's a very high chance that you won't be using a cold resistance item that is high. You know, you'll probably not bother. So that's the reason why you go for like other resistances instead. The health is very good to show. Now think about if this is a shield, you would like some block stuff. You would like some endurance, we have already selected that. You would probably like some crit stuff and offensive stuff as well if you think about it, because there's like catalyst, there's quiver, so you want some like bow things probably. You can even select the rogue, as I said, like if it doesn't exist, it's probably not going to show it anyway, so it's fine. Let's go for some like damage stuff. Perhaps like some throwing stuff. That's kind of up to you if you're ever going to play some sort of like a throwing stuff. You can go for some leech, definitely crit avoidance. I would suggest for going for crit avoidance for something like shield, accessory, perhaps like even armor as well, but obviously like the catalyst and the quiver, probably not. You could go for like some minion stuff, mana stuff as well, definitely. So we have already selected way too many affixes, as you can see. We're gonna go ahead and like say more than 5, and this should probably cover for the most part what should be shown on the floor, to be honest with you. This is possible that it's not gonna show because I don't even have a tier 5 on it. I've crafted this from almost nothing, to be honest with you, after gambling, I think. So on top of this, we are going to have some sort of like a rules that are going to have some safety measures for us, so that like we don't necessarily miss any great items. So there are some great items in this game. What are those is basically, let's say, show, rarity. Let's never ever miss an exalted item. So let's add this over here, since like it's going to be on the top of the things. It's obviously going to be overruling these. So if there's anything that has like this guy that has a tier 6, it will always be an exalted item, and it will always show. Even though this guy has like a tier 5, let's say, minion damage on it, as you can see, it will never color it to the green because this one is on the top, as I've explained before, and yeah. So this is all, you will always see exalted drops. Okay, this is a good item. This is definitely a good filter to have. Another thing that you can do is the same for like obviously tier 7 affixes as well. You can make it so that like you will always be seeing tier 7 affixes. You will need to do it manually. For instance, like right over here, you can select every single affix like this and all of it, and then afterwards you can select equal to 7, and then you can also like, you know, recolor it to something crazy. You can maybe emphasize it. As I'm making the video, the emphasizer has some issues right now in this patch, but it's going to be fixed in the next patch. So emphasizing tier 7s would be pretty insane as well. But if I'm not mistaken, they drop at the very end of the game, and they're very rare. So so from this moment, guys, I'll first talk about some of the unique affixes that are sort of good to add to this, you know, very simple filter that we worked on. And then afterwards, we'll also talk about how can we go further than this. You know what I mean? What is like the next step if you want to have a little bit even more, you know, editable or like further customized filter than this. So the unique affixes that I have figured out that I like to see. So for instance, cooldown reduction is incredibly interesting, guys. Okay, so sometimes on some characters I end up like creating a rule over here just for the cooldown reduction on the helm. This is pretty insane. If you have any questions at all about which affix can roll where, you press F, right? You come to your craft here. So I said cooldown reduction. Look, increased cooldown recovery speed is cooldown reduction in this game. You mouse over it and it says can be applied to helmet. So this is it. That is how you're going to be learning how basically like where this affix can be found, and it's always on the helm, as you can see. So this is like a unique thing that I would like to see. By the way, I might have not mentioned how to open the loot filter, but it's Shift F in the game. F for crafting and Shift F for item filter. Yeah, this is a little bit too late for the video, but at least I mentioned it, boys. So another unique thing is the pluses that has been recently introduced to the game. So such as like +1 to maximum skeletons and stuff. What I like to do about this is that like just like the exalted items, I actually like to add a rule and recolor this to perhaps like a red or something, and then add condition effects, make it basically class specific. Something like this is an interesting approach to see every single class specific item on the floor. I usually end up picking them up. But if you want to make it like further filtered, you could definitely make it so that like if you're playing a primalist, only show me the primalist pluses, stuff like that. The reason why I like to see like every single pluses is kind of get, you know, used to them, kind of be able to like see what is capable of rolling as pluses, what sort of pluses they're rolling, because they have like some side bonuses as well, such as like increased spell damage or like attack speed, or perhaps like an extra sort of like a modifier to the spell that they're modifying. So I want to like get used to them. That's also why in my filters I usually show them, even though they're sort of worthless, most of the cases at least. What you can try to do is basically shatter those items. So open the crafting over here, use a modifier that is called Rune of Shattering, and then if you put that item over there and click this, it will be shattering. So what shattering does is it has a chance of giving the affixes that are on this item as fragments to you. Like basically they will add to this list. It's kind of an RNG. It's usually better to, you know, shatter an item that has a lot of affixes and it's also higher affixes. But at the same time, if you have a unique affix on an item, you usually want to never mind the other stuff that I said and just shatter it, because it's not so valuable as shattering rune, that is. Continuing with this, some other unique stuff. As we said, like cooldown reduction over there, we have the pluses from some armor, maybe some weapons as well are capable of definitely doing this. Another unique thing was for the amulets and the accessory, such as like hybrid rolls of block, okay? Like block chance and effectiveness. I've already selected this in the accessory part. This is a pretty cool thing. It's on the rings and gloves apparently, not on the amulets. There's something called, it depends on the character that you're running, but there's something called mana efficiency in this game that is pretty interesting as well. That's only for the amulets, very unique. Depending on the character that you're playing, this can actually be extremely good because it's a percentage efficiency. What it does is it in fact reduces the mana cost of any spell that you use. So if you can get up to like 15%, it will be 15% cheaper, everything. This is very unique. It's kind of like a situational thing. You could keep this in mind as well. So these are sort of like unique things, as I'm gonna mention. This list can actually like expand quite a bit. Please feel free to expand it on the comment section down below. I would say it would be extremely useful actually for everybody. If there's like these type of like unique affixes that you would like to see and iron out on your filter, so that like everybody is aware, I think it would be good. So the next step for the filters, what is it that you can do to make this even more, you know, filtered and to see even less items on the floor? And this is the most important part, in my opinion, of this video. So far, I have basically explained everything in a simple fashion. I've explained how to make like a very simple, you know, let's say loot filter for any characters out there that are jumping into this game. But the next step is incredibly important. Just like Grim Tools, if you're aware of Grim Dawn, there's Last Epoch Tools as well. It's the same creator actually, damn it. Shout out to him, incredible. So over here, what you can do is you can go to the item database, and then from there you will be able to go to literally every single item and see the bases. I heavily suggest you to, whatever you are playing, whatever character you're playing, check out the item bases for yourself. Okay, as you go further into the game, let's say as let's give an example. As a mage, as a sorcerer, let's say, there are not so many bases of chest pieces, body armors, that a mage, a sorcerer, would like to use. There are a couple of them. There's the Celestial Robes, as you can see, not too bad. Archmage, not too bad at all either, some sort of like a defensive implicit on it, you know. The Battle Mage Robes, incredibly good. Ward retention, especially if you're playing around with the ward, but not so much more. Now what I'm trying to get is that like this rule can be applied for every character and every armor piece, every weapon piece, every accessory piece. Okay, so you want, when you come to the late game, guys, you don't necessarily want certain affixes on an item. You want those certain affixes on an item that is also a certain implicit, or like, you know, the right type, you know. So in this case, if you're playing a sorcerer, you will want either a celestial robe, battle mage, or archmage robe. Probably one of these, actually, you know, nothing else. So even if you get like a godlike, let's say, copper plate, it is not going to be for you, because there's going to be something better. You know, you wish those affixes were existing on something else. Now, this rule is going to, again, I cannot emphasize this enough, this rule is going to apply to every single armor slot. So you're going to need to go through all of these, and you're going to need to go through all of these as well. Which sort of weapon you want, what is it exactly that you want, okay? So I'm going to give only one example, which is the one that we have taken, but you can apply to this example to literally every single other slot out there. And this is the advanced loot filtering. What you do over here is that, like, again, the assumption is you're playing some sort of like a mage sorcerer. Let's say that we're only searching for a battle mage robe, okay? We're so desperate to get a good battle mage robe because they have like good armor and void retention, incredibly important, right? Okay, so our new rule, guys, this is gonna be, you know, this is basically, this needs to override this entire green thing. So let's have this recoloring, maybe some sort of like a red, or maybe like a teal, turquoise. You come over here, you say item type once again, you come over here, you come to body armor, except this time there's a subtype. You see this? Since like we have only selected one type of armor, we can select a subtype. We're playing a mage, so we come to mage, and then from there we're gonna say battle mage robes. So when I click this, any sort of battle mage robe on the floor is going to be teal, but this is not enough. Now we want the exact same thing, exact same logic behind what we did over here with the greens. We want it over here. So we want at the very least tier 5, one of the affixes, right? A good battle mage armor. How do we do it, guys? Let's do it. We can have health on it. We can have resistance on it. As I have explained before, I don't necessarily want all the resistances. I want the good ones. Probably not even poison, to be honest with you. It's not a good resistance. I want some other good stuff. To be honest with you, I can even like shorter this list because of like some other unique implicit, but I'm not going to go into that. That's extreme detail at this point. You can definitely find a good item with these tier 5 affixes for sure, and then you can craft further on it. So apart from this, what else can we want? We can definitely check out like some mage drops, that's for sure. Some mage unique drops. What else can we have on this? Definitely the main stats. Since you're playing a mage, it will probably be only intelligence, right? And apart from this, I think this is pretty much it. So 53 affixes selected. This is a little bit bloated because the mages selected over here is like 44 of them. Half of these are not going to be worth at all. So I would probably go through this list and, you know, remove the stuff that I wouldn't like to use. So for instance, if you're playing with a fireball, there's a very high chance you want to play with something like static orb or something, you know, so you can remove that from there, definitely. So you can definitely filter it a lot more further as well. And then afterwards, more equal to 5. Now, this is also going to be overwriting these type of stuff, and to be perfectly honest with you, if you want to not see these at all at that very end game, you can definitely delete these rules. Therefore, since these rules are going to be deleted, this thing is going to take over and it's going to hide even, you know, a bad base, but a tier 5 is going to hide it, basically. And that is how you advance your filter from like some sort of like a... I would heavily suggest leveling characters to never ever do this one thing. But when you reach the monoliths and the end game, like arena, around like level 70-ish, this level, I can actually tell you the exact level of like doing this, the benefits as well. The level kind of changes from character to character, but let's say that you're playing this mage sorcerer, level 65 is the level that you should have this rule on your loot filter. You know, if it was celestial robes that I was trying to go for, it is level 72. This means that the monster needs to be level 72 for this item to drop for you, or you need to be level 72 to be able to see this item in the gambling. Okay, so you kind of need to be level 72 before, you know, having this rule set into your item filter. Now you can do this exact rule for every single item out there, and you should for your late game. It's going to be only a one-time type of thing, but you will need to do it. What I like to do is that I kind of like to put this below my safety measures still, kind of just in case. And I've explained the Exalted and also the tier 7 show. I have them at the top, just in case, you know. Always when I see like a purple item, or like, you know, whatever color you give to the tier 7 and emphasized, it will always be, oh shit, that's a tier 6, let's see if that is good for anybody, you know what I mean? That's kind of thing. I'm thinking this is going to be it from me. A little bit of like a side information: the gambling is incredibly big in this game. Don't underestimate this guy. Don't do it early. Don't do it too much too early, let's say. You should definitely do it early as well, but don't do it too much early. Refreshing it on the top left, right over here, is not too bad. You can definitely keep on refreshing to find like the right bases. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And I would heavily consider which item to gamble, because some items are definitely easier to find than the others. For instance, like a relic that I have over here, if you look at the implicit values, it has like so many different values. It has minion damage, movement speed, and health. It changes, you know, from 6 to 6 to 6 minion health. Like, getting something that's only good implicit values, but at the same time having good normal affixes is going to be so difficult, you know. So gambling for an item like that for me is probably not worth the 10,000 purchase price over here. That's what I mean by, like, you know, some items are better to gamble than the others. In my experience, gambling for rings is good. Gambling for, like, you know, normal armor, such as like chests, boots is not too bad. A shield is kind of fine as well. Those are makes. Belt is definitely a good gamble as well. Those are the stuff that I usually gamble with. And from the weapon, I try to get like a white item so that like I can craft whatever I want on it, and that is also why my weapon is incredibly worthless. Like T2, Tier 3s on it, but it still is fine. It's okay. So thank you so much for watching. I really hope this video was useful. If it was useful, please remember to leave a like. I'm doing a lot of ARPG content, MMORPG, some RPG content as well on my YouTube channel. Mostly I'm a Twitch streamer, but you know, feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel as well if you enjoyed this video, if you found it useful. And I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for watching. Peace out.